Mike.
And I'm Maria.
And this is Nfgeeks. All right, Maria.
Part two.
Yes, absolutely. Maria, one thing I do with every NF I have, this is a new thing, but every NF I have on Nfgeeks, I try to have one episode devoted to love and their attitude about love, their thoughts about love, their feelings, their behaviors, stories, right, all that stuff. Have a dialogue about love because NFs are sort of obsessed with that. It's kind of a big deal to us.
It is a big deal. It's very... It's sometimes we want to think it's not important, but it's like the most important thing in our life.
That's right.
We're like, no, it's not that important. Right. It's so important.
Right. We try to listen to other people. No, I'm fine. I'm not thinking about it. I'm only thinking about it every second.
And inside you're having like this breakdown and you're cuddled up in the curled fetal position listening to sad bastard music. Just,
yeah, that's NF.
That's right. That's us.
Okay, so let's talk about it then. When I say love, what are your initial thoughts about yourself, your life, your experiences?
Well,
what comes to mind right away?
The plants.
Really?
Yes.
Really? Okay, let's talk. That's great. How does the plants relate to love in your life?
Well, the first thing that I can recall in my life of having an actual like compassionate, deep feeling for were plants. Like, we love our parents, we love our family, like, it seems like that's more instilled, like, you know what that type of love is.
Sure.
That it's...
There's social norms around
exactly,
it, you know?
Like, the social norms of, like, you hug and kiss, like, your mom, your dad, your sister, your
maybe
grandparents.
not even.
Well, for us, like, in a Sicilian family, it's very... that's there, and you understand what that love is, but... So, when you're outside of family love, when you're young, I'm talking 4 or 5 years old, you can't talk about really like the concept of love to a kid like that when you're going beyond like your family members, because you just know what that is, even though you can't verbalize it. But that experience with the tree, and then my experiences afterwards of engaging with the plants in a much more in-depth way, like when I would sing silly songs to them, I'm like, no, they actually hear me, so keep singing to them. Or they can feel me, so keep, like, when you harvest them, be a little more gentle when you dig them up, or a little more gentle when you snip them off, or ask for permission if I can harvest you, if that's okay.
Yeah, I understand. That's a very, what Martin Buber would call I-thou.
Okay.
Having an equal relationship with the universe, as opposed to an objectifying.
Yeah, for me, there wasn't any hierarchy. Like, I never...
Right, that's
like, I never looked at my parents as, like, they're the ones in charge. It was just, these are the people who are also in this house, and they tell me to do things. I can choose not to do them, and they get very upset if I don't. But to me, I never saw things as, like, there's a hierarchy. And so with the plants, it was, like, I understood that they were there longer. Like, I was always a sciencey nerd kid, so I enjoyed reading nature books and watching PBS when we got television. And just, I loved learning about things, and I liked learning about where I was around me. And where I grew up, sort of the origin stories of where I grew up are very deeply ingrained in such fantastic mysticism, and you have a lot of different cultures of their, origin stories, or their creation stories of their peoples who lived there, because we had a lot of different Native American tribes, and we had the Dutch. And when those two came together, the stories that came out of there were just super fantastically weird, and like one story that we held close to our hearts was the story of Van Winkle. So... like, yes, it's a story of fiction, but to some of us it was like, no, there really are strange things in the Catskill Mountains. You should go there. It's, and so I lived, in a rural-ish place in the mountains, and so I understood that there was something more there. There was other voices. And
you connect this to love.
Yes, because I didn't have to defend myself. I didn't have to be on a soapbox when I was around plants. I could express how I felt, and they expressed that they appreciated someone was interacting with them.
There's something very NF, I think, about that, because nobody understands your love or your point of view, so you try to find something that does.
Yeah, so, like, to give you an example, like, my very first day of kindergarten was brutal. I
know, I can imagine, knowing you, to be honest.
I'm a super introvert. I don't really like big crowds, and I don't go up to people to introduce myself. So recess time, kindergarten, I'm, like, sitting in the corner, like, drawing in a doodle pad, and my teacher tapped me on the shoulder. She's like, you should go play with those kids. And I'm like, I don't want to. She's like, you should go. They'll be nice, I promise. So I go up to
this is already a disaster.
So I go up to this group of girls, and they were playing house and dress-up. So they had, like, those Fisher-Price house sets.
Yep.
And there was a big chest full of high-heel shoes and skirts and scarves, and they were all wearing them. And I was like, hi, I'm Maria, can we play? And there was a clear leader of this group, like, it was a huge pack.
As always, yeah.
And she goes, no, we talked it over, and you're too ugly and too stupid to play with us. Oh, and you're also too poor, so you can never play with us.
Oh, jeez.
Why don't you go play with the smelly boys? And I'm like, this is what school is going to be like for the next 12 years. I want out.
Oh, Maria, that's so sad.
So I always had to try really, really hard to have someone be nice to me.
Sure.
And I was never a mean person. I never made fun of anyone. I just kept to myself.
It's just basically the world reacting to NFs.
And I thought I was a pretty nice kid, and I didn't have ridicule from plants. Like, I felt like
That's wonderful.
I could have a very natural conversation. And then when I got my dog a few years later, I totally had a partner that I could share nature with, and could now talk to my dog, and you know, like, I could put my head on his forehead, and I could understand if he was, like, in pain, or if he was, like, upset, or if there was, like, turmoil in the house. Whenever there was turmoil in the house, like, fighting going on, he and I would immediately leave and just go for, like, really long walks, and I would just talk out the situation with him, like, why are they fighting so much, and why is this going on? And it was a really fantastic way for me to understand love that goes beyond, like, romantic love.
Sure.
Even though I wouldn't understand romantic love as that young of an age, but it helped me understand that everything has this pulse, and its pulse, everyone has a right to feel loved and compassion towards, and to be helped. And I don't like being in pain. I don't want other people to be in pain.
Sure.
So how can I interact with these people in a very meaningful way that I get to interact with these plants? And how can I get the confidence to feel comfortable around people?
Sure. That actually leads me to a question, which is that what do you think are the greatest obstacles or difficulties you face regarding love in any context? What do you think, like, if there's something that's getting in your way, or
it's usually myself. If something's getting in the way, it's usually myself, and, like, a poor outlook that I'll have sometimes.
Can you give an example? Like, what do you mean by that? A poor outlook about what? Yourself, about people, about love, about romance?
Like, this relationship will never work because he'll never understand me. Feeling like people will never get me or understand me because I'm not the best at speaking my thoughts. I'm better...
At least not in a coherent way.
Not in a coherent way. I'm better at using non-verbal communication.
Sure, like a good NL.
And so for me, healing, like when I'm practicing with clients, I'm able to express my utmost compassion towards humanity help them.
Does that mean that words and language is an obstacle for love for you?
It is. It's a huge one.
How does it trap you or stop you? What really keeps it from taking place with words?
Well, I think the first time when you have romantic love and you want to tell someone you love them, it's
always a mistake.
It took me forever to say I love you, because I always felt that this person's going to freak out. And that mostly always happened when I would express my love for someone. They would the relationship is over. This is getting too deep. And I'm like, I thought that's what relationships are supposed to do.
Right.
And so I had a big misunderstanding when it came to romantic relationships growing up, because I thought the point was to share your heart and tell them the words "I love you," and it will make them, "Oh, I love you too." And then it was always "I love you," and they'd be like, "Oh, yeah, I gotta go.
Right,
Don't ever call me again." And I'm like, so I always felt I'd be doomed to be alone, and that I actually, at one point when I was before I went to college at age 19, I felt I should probably just aim to have a monastic life. Not necessarily
that's very INFJ.
Move to a monastery, but I should just get used to living a monastic life that's quiet, in the country, self-sufficient, and just have a quiet life away from people, because it's too painful to express my love to another human being. But it doesn't hurt when I express it to animals. It doesn't hurt when I express it to plants. It doesn't hurt when I'm expressing it non-verbally.
Well, I've heard the story before about INFJs that they're slow to say "I love you," not because they're holding back, but they're sort of like treading on, they're making sure the ice isn't too thin.
Yeah.
So they're very slow to do it. I want to say very slow. They're cautious and they don't do it right away.
Yes, I was very, very scared.
Does that seem right to you?
Yes, I was very scared to tell Pat.
Really?
Very scared. I was
scared to tell Pat.
I was because I thought it's going to end the relationship.
Oh,
because with all the relationships before that, it ended the relationship. So I'm like, what's the point? What's the point of saying I love you to this person I super duper love, and I can't see anyone else in my life? So maybe if I just don't say it, he'll stay forever.
Yeah.
But I think he wants me to say it. I'm confused. I don't know what, I didn't know what to do, but then I said it.
Who said it first, you?
Unfortunately, I have a terrible memory.
I'll ask him.
He is much better remembering, like, first kiss, the anniversary dates, all that stuff. I feel like the horrible girlfriend because I can't remember.
All right, I'll ask him.
I feel like it might have been a mutual thing, but if he remembers who said it first, I'd say check with him.
Okay, sure. I will then.
Yeah. And then that's another big obstacle in our relationship with love is I forget so many things that it's a source of tension sometimes.
Oh, sure.
I'm not saying we get in all-out fights, but, like, it could be a source of, like, what do you mean you forgot? Like...
Yeah, no, that certainly, because you have to learn to live with people's limitations.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And he has an amazing memory. Like, he can remember so many things, and I'm like a goldfish.
Oh, that's very sad, Maria. All right, so let's go in the opposite direction then. What do you think are your greatest strengths, or your greatest? I guess strengths is an okay word. What are your greatest strengths in love, or what are things that allow love for you to go quickly and easily?
Honestly, it's using the techniques that I've learned when I'm doing energy healing.
Really?
Or if I'm trying to read someone's aura, or doing Reiki energy, because it helps me tap into themselves.
Yeah.
I get to go out of the realm of, like, the physical container. Like, I'm not concerned so much what's there. I'm concerned with what's going on the inside.
Okay.
Because that's the person. That's the spirit. We're the container. This container is very physically limiting my form of expression.
Oh, that's very interesting.
It's cumbersome. So
what a great way to describe it.
So when I want to get to know someone, or a new plant, or a new animal, or a new desk, or something.
Need to get to know a new desk?
Yes, it could be the wrong desk.
No, that's great. Martin Buber would think that's fantastic.
It could be a wrong desk. The tree that it was made of could not be the tree for me. Or the tree could have a really sad story.
That's like the wand in Harry Potter.
Okay, I don't know much about Harry Potter, but
that's not very NF.
Okay. I did read one book and I hated it.
All the INFPs are crying now.
That's good. Let them cry. They need to get it out.
Not very sensitive. It's okay. Keep going. Oh, the poor INFPs.
So, when I want to learn more about a situation, especially when someone doesn't talk so much, like, believe it or not, Pat and I, our communication styles are a bit different. I talk more, and he says a lot without saying much, and that's hard for me to comprehend because I just keep going and going. That when I use my, just to, like this, to just sort of understand what's going on, I understand so much more because I can feel the emotions. I can feel if there's any physical pain, if there's any mental pain, emotional pain. It's very difficult to describe these feelings, but I'm working very hard to because it's part of my practice.
Right.
My clients all the time ask me, what are you getting? And they take it seriously. They want to know what I'm feeling because I have credibility. And that's a big responsibility. So I need to learn how to verbally translate these physical sensations because to me, this is science. This is physically happening.
Yeah, the NTs are going to hate that you just said that.
I don't care.
Okay.
No one can tell me.
Just preparing you for the comments.
No one can tell me that what I'm physically feeling is wrong.
Well, that's exactly one of the points I make on NFGeeks. The subjective experience is an actual experience.
It's the actual experience, and scientifically, this is what I'm exploring in my collegiate studies. I designed an independent study to look at people who have physical pain, chronic health issues, what's going on in their whole body that we verbally can't translate, and how do we interact with the world? How does the world interact with us? Because it's very divided. Yeah. And when you're dealing with scientists, like doctors and researchers, they want you to segregate body, mind, spirit, or whatever you want to call it, the energy of yourself. Sure. And for me, it's like, no, they're together. They're not
like love.
It is. And I do what I do because I have this great love. And the plants told me at a very young age, like, you're meant to be a shaman. Sure. And I had 2 experiences in my life where I was very sick and I was very much near death. And when I would talk about those 2 incidents with other healers throughout the world, they would all say the same thing. Well, that's the sign of a healer, of a shaman. So you were called to do this. You were born into this. You didn't have a choice, no matter how much you wanted to run away from it.
That's funny. The other INFJs say something similar. I've heard that before.
And
that's
so
funny.
And they were like, you either run away from it or you accept it and you love it. And I ran away from it for so long because I was so afraid to be rejected by my calling. Like, I didn't have faith in my own path because I thought
that happens.
My own path would reject me somehow because I was not good enough.
Maria, we're over our time.
Oh, no.
So we have to finish up.
Okay.
So any last words about love?
I love you.
There you go. Even though she gave you the finger.
I love you.
Wonderful.